this time, I'd like to call Dr. Campbell Solo to the stand. Will Rogers from the plaintiff, may I proceed? Please state your name for the court and spell your last name correctly.
My name is Dr. Campbell Solo. My last name is spelled S-O-L-O.
Dr. Solo, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm the sole proprietor of a therapy and consulting firm, Solo and Associates, founded from the ground up in 2003.
So what education do you have that allows you to hold this position?
Well, I have my bachelor's in psychology from the University of Oregon. I also have my medical doctorate from the University of Michigan.
And what experience do you have in the field of psychology, as you mentioned?
Well, I've completed a number of residencies in Wisconsin as well as Midlands. I'm a member of a number of professional organizations, and I'm also a board certified psychiatrist.
And tell us some of the qualifications that you have.
Well, like I said, I'm licensed to practice psychology in 2 separate states. I'm a member of numerous organizations, and I'm also a board certified psychiatrist,
Now, doctor, how are you involved in today's case?
Well, I was hired to analyze Jesse Duran's behavior and to see how they may have translated to the events of August 18, 2010.
Did you come to a conclusion in today's case?
Yes.
So did you have sufficient facts and data that you relied upon to come to your conclusion?
Yes.
What were those facts and data?
Well, I was supplied with the affidavits of Andy Clark, Danny Brooks, and Hayden Duran as well. I'm also familiar with several exhibits.
Doctor, did you use reliable principles and methods as well?
Yes, sir.
And did you apply these principles and methods reliably to the facts and data of today's case?
Of course.
Doctor, how did you begin your analysis?
Well, I began to examine the trends in Jesse Duran's behavior. And doing so, they directly correlated to 3 factors that actually increase the risk of violence in children.
And what were those factors?
There's previous aggressive and/or violent behavior, significant exposure to violent media, and the presence of a firearm as well.
I want to break those down one at a time, doctor. And I want to start with the first one, the previous aggressive and/or violent behavior. Now, what evidence did you find to support this?
Well, among others, there were actually 3 separate things that indicated this. There was disciplinary notes sent home from school, a picture that was drawn by Jesse, and a very aggressive verbal statement posed to another student.
That disciplinary note you mentioned, would you recognize that here in court today?
Of course.
Mr. Approach opposing counsel, no, that's for my point as well.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to the notes and reground it's more prejudicial than probative.
Your Honor, this is substantially more probative than prejudicial
I want
because...
to see what they are.
Yeah, first question, yeah. The discipline note sent home to the Duran residence. Not just and
Just 2 copies of the same note?
yes, one for the witness, one for the juries.
Oh, okay.
The neighborhood person.
Over objection, I'll let it be admitted for whatever it's worth.
I haven't put it into evidence yet. But
Pardon me?
I haven't put it into evidence yet, but we should approach the witness.
Yeah.
Doctor, what can you tell me about this disciplinary note?
Well, this is a disciplinary note that was sent home with Jesse regarding an incident where Jesse displayed violence toward another student.
Now, was this the only incident?
Actually, this was the 3rd incident that Jesse had displayed active violence toward another student in one school year.
Plaintiff moves to admit plaintiff's one into evidence.
No objection. Oh, I'm sorry.
No objection, Your Honor.
Doctor, this disciplinary note, was Hayden Duran aware of it?
Yes, in fact, you can find Hayden Duran's signature at the bottom.
Now, Doctor, to your knowledge, did Hayden Duran seek any help for Jesse after being aware of this disciplinary note?
As far as I know, no help was sought for Jesse after this disciplinary note was filed.
Thank you, Doctor. May I tender evidence to the bench? Doctor, you mentioned three things under the category of previous aggressive and/or violent behavior. Now, the second one was a picture. What can you tell me about this picture?
Well, the photograph that I received was, it was a picture depicting Jesse in a number of situations, pointing a gun at objects, animals, people, but most concerningly, the people.
Doctor, would you recognize this picture here in court today?
Of course.
Permission to approach opposing counsel and close the remarks plaintiffs too. Permission to approach the witness and close the remarks plaintiffs too. Now, Doctor, this picture you said showed Jesse Duran in numerous situations. Now, what did you find that was relevant about this to the case today?
As I previously stated, Councilman, this picture depicts Jesse in a number of situations, pointing a gun. Now, the drawing of the gun really does not concern me. The thing that alarms me is the act of pointing it at people. When children begin to fantasize about violence, it's up to the parent to step in and implement remediation strategies immediately.
So this is a fair and accurate copy of that picture you
Yes, sir.
Plaintiff moves to admit plaintiff two into evidence.
I'm going to object to relevance. It does not, the photo does not go to meet any of the four prongs offered under Clause First Degree in the case law today.
This makes this piece of evidence here today goes to directly prove our burden that we have taken on in today's case, as it shows that Hayden Duran saw these signs and did not do anything about it, and that directly proves one of the five elements in today's case.
Are we
Parents
saying,
should have been
this
aware.
photograph, the parents had knowledge of these photographs or this
Yes.
comment?
As if I may proffer, you will hear it later
Yeah.
on once it's into evidence.
All right, we'll conditionally accept it in evidence.
Thank you. May I tender to the bench? Dr. Solo, to your knowledge, was Hayden Duran also made aware of this?
Yes, Hayden Duran was made aware of this photo.
And to your knowledge, Doctor, what did Hayden Duran do about it?
As far as I know, Hayden Duran did not enact any parental recommendation whatsoever.
Dr. Solo, the third factor you mentioned under previous aggressive and/or violent behavior, and that was an aggressive verbal statement made by Jesse. Now, who was this aggressive verbal statement made to by Jesse?
Well, pursuant to the documents made available to me, the verbal statement was posed to Sydney Park, the young girl who died on August 18, 2010.
What did this verbal statement say?
The statement said, "I'm going to shoot you, Sydney. You're going to die. Bang, bang."
Dr. Solo, was Hayden Duran also made aware of this?
Yes, in fact, I believe Danny Brooks, the child's babysitter, made Hayden aware of this statement.
And to your knowledge, did Hayden Duran do anything about this?
Pursuant to documents made available, Hayden Duran actually shrugged it off, saying that Jesse was harmless and that she knew her child.
Permission to tender evidence to the bench. Doctor, I want to go back to the beginning. You mentioned three factors that you highlighted. Now, the second one was the presence of violent media within the home.
Yes.
Now, what evidence did you find to support this?
Well, actually, there was very overwhelming presence of violent media in the Duran household.
And how did you come about this?
Affidavit of Hayden Duran.
Now, what did this violent media include?
It included video games that were rated for mature audiences only.
And to your knowledge, what are games rated mature for? What ages are games rated for mature for?
Games rated for mature audiences only include the age of 17 and older. Games that include blood, violence, gore, and things of that nature should not be played by anyone under the age of 17, especially children. Especially children with previous aggressive and or violent behavior.
Doctor, at the time of the incident, how old was Jesse Duran?
Jesse Duran was as young as the age of 10 when these games began to be played.
And to your knowledge, was Jesse Duran playing these games before that age as well?
Yes, I believe so.
Who bought these games for Jesse?
The games were supplied to Jesse by Jesse's parent, Hayden Duran.
Thank you, Doctor. I want to move on to the final factor that you highlighted. Now, that was what?
It was the presence of firearms.
And the presence of firearms, how did that affect Jesse?
Well, as soon as Jesse knew that a firearm was present in the Park household, Jesse expressed an immediate interest in playing with it.
Did Hayden Duran know about Jesse's interest in this firearm?
Yes. Actually, Jesse explicitly told Hayden that the Parks had a gun and that she wanted to play with it.
Dr. Solo, when did Hayden hear this from Jesse?
Jesse told Hayden this information on August 17th, the day before the incident.
To your knowledge, Dr. Solo, did Hayden Duran do anything about this?
No. In fact, Hayden Duran allowed Jesse to go over to the Park household unsupervised, where Jesse had access to the firearm.
Dr. Solo, you said you came to a conclusion in today's case. What was that conclusion?
Councilman and I arrived at two separate conclusions.
Oh, so what was your first conclusion?
The first conclusion was that Jesse Duran was at risk for violent behavior well before the events of August 18, 2010.
And your second conclusion?
The second one is that Hayden Duran had more than enough information to implement any violence remediation techniques, such as seeking therapy, group sessions, in order to decrease the risk of violence in Jesse.
Thank you, Dr. Solo. I have no further questions at this time, Your Honor. Thank you.